notices, but I want to make sure that I'm not interrupting her workflow. So, and then there are some town policies. One is the social media policy that originally I was thinking Danette and Bridget and I would sign. I don't know if we should all sign it or not, but there are also, since we put forward the process and we were kind of grandfathered in, I thought it would be appropriate that we took a look at the policies that anyone new would and sign them.
Okay.
So if you want to email us, that seems right?
Sure.
It's one, right? It's just one policy, and then the original, was it the RSA that we probably all read anyway, but. And then there's obviously a lot of pieces that we've touched, and so I just want to really quickly go touch on everything just to make sure we're all up to date. The mission statement was approved, I believe in November. We submitted it to the select board. I think, did you read it, Letty, or did you read it? You read it. So mission statement is all set. We presented Steve went to the select board and submitted our the subcommittee creation process and the statement of interest form, and it got accepted, right? The entire thing with one minor edit, which we took care of. It was just adding a policy, basically. So nothing that was really mountains moving. Let's see. Facebook, I'm thinking that we might check in with Daphne just to see if she, just like kind of a routine check-in to see if she needs any help or wants any additional advice or anything. And then what I just said about the social media policy, would you guys all be willing to do? I mean, not that you're touching it, but I feel like it's the only communications policy they have, and I feel like we should probably sign it. Okay. And then the communications policy / agreement that we started.
Yeah,
Is
we
it-
need to work on.
Is it a really busy time for you?
No, January should be, this is January. Yeah, I'm still in the holiday mode. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine. I can
So
time.
we'll connect and
Yeah.
we'll
Mhm.
put, kind of work, it's like a phoenix.
Yeah.
We haven't worked on it for a long time. Master plan committee,
Sorry, Steph, so that's just
Yeah.
the two of you are gonna reconnect
Yep,
on that?
yep. The master plan committee, Steve and I did a little arranging. Steve did the arranging. He emailed their group and then brought me in. And I don't know where we're at with that. There was nothing for us to contribute. They were already doing anything we had suggested, so.
You had the final communication with them.
Yeah, so I guess one of us could, or I could check back in and just see if there's anything. I don't know if what they find will help us or not.
I'm sure it'll be helpful. Do we know when it wraps up?
I don't know. Okay, so we'll
It's
check in.
Soon, it's been out for quite a while. So.
Yeah. Website, I had a side phone call with Josh just to see if, where we were at with that, and we're sort of in process of information collecting still.
Yeah.
So I'll come back around to that
Okay.
later, because, and then the AV potential, I don't know if we have bandwidth to handle that right now. I know,
I did place a call. There's a firm in Massachusetts that does municipal AV setup. So they were off for the holidays, and they're
Mhm.
supposed to be giving us a call back.
okay, so we're still kind of information
So,
collecting.
information gathering.
Okay,
I just would add, I do hope we could do something. I know being often in the audience is just really
Yeah, I
hard, particularly
know.
when people have masks, understandably.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
really hard to follow. And I'm half part of hearing, and I'm sure others are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, if we could eventually get it,
yeah,
seems like an important
Yeah.
communications
Isn't there a way
issue.
for it to go through the speakers, or is that something?
It does.
Okay.
Oh, it does?
It does, but I mean, Andy said that if you turn it up more, then it echoes and buzzes or whatever. So it's really limited what we got right now.
You can hear the feedback through the speakers.
Feedback.
okay. So why don't we talk about that again at the end of the meeting?
Sure.
Talk about prioritizing. And then the big part, what I wanted to try to work together on was, obviously with the change in the newsletter, the town has to refigure out how to get the news out to town members and what all to consider. So, I guess first I just wanted to acknowledge that the situation, the decision was hard on everybody, I think, you know, hard on the volunteers, hard on the employees, hard on the town, community, so just, it was tough for everybody. So, what I would like to do, what I'd like this group to do, I'm just gonna pull a
Can
file.
I just really quickly
Yeah,
check in with the rest? We are not planning on taking that over.
no,
Correct.
so that's what,
Okay.
no, so what I would like to do tonight is to brainstorm different ways that we might get news out. And what I kinda wanna do is kinda go the whole gamut from not doing anything to doing a full-on newsletter. Go through all the way I think about things is I tackle who, what, why, where, and when, and kind of approach it like that, and then go through pros and cons. And I don't want there to be any wrong idea, I wanna just brainstorm, and then we can go back and say, okay, this one doesn't make sense, this one doesn't make sense, these three make sense, let's present that to the board. Does that sound okay?
Sure. Just, my understanding is we've been formally asked by the select board to offer suggestions and
Yeah.
options. And that's our-
Yeah, but
we've been tasked
that's
with that.
that's what we're doing,
And
we're
that's
not
what
gonna
we're
do,
We're
our
not just
group-
coming up with ourselves, we've been
No.
asked by the board to
yeah,
give them
yeah,
a range of
just how,
options.
suggestions on how to move forward.
May I ask when that was done?
Was it the last?
Not the last
Two
meeting, one
meetings
before,
ago.
2 meetings ago.
2 meetings ago.
Yeah. 2 meetings ago. I watched the last meeting from
Because I
my,
know that there's
couch.
been, misconceptions.
Yeah.
That the communications committee was gonna start a newsletter.
No.
And I just wanted to be clear,
no,
that's not.
no.
And
What we're
Steph
doing.
made that clear at the last meeting.
Yeah, because it's
Stated that
not,
explicitly.
it's, there are a lot of, there's a lot of gossip going around, and I don't think it's fair, and I've told a few of you, I don't wanna subject our group, this is not the reason why we started this, and I don't wanna subject our group to that. If the town decides they wanna move forward and do something like that, we can make suggestions on how to do that, but
It's not our decision.
no, it's not our decision, so. But what I'd like to provide, just like the budget committee has to go back and forth and weigh the decision and options, that's kind of what I want to do. All right, so let me just, I started a file and how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're taking notes. Well, actually, when we're doing this, you probably don't need to be taking notes.
Can I
Um,
just add
Yeah,
something to
yeah,
that?
yeah.
So if this group is going to make any recommendations on how to move forward, and there's going to be a cost component to any of those suggestions, whether that be in the operating budget or as a warrant article, those need to be presented to the select board by January 24th. So
Yeah.
some sort of decision tree needs to progress today. So you got 1 hour. What are you thinking that?
So, I should know more about this, but I don't. So like, if we thought that something was gonna happen, whether it be a website or something like that, we knew there was going to be some increase in town communication that was going to have a financial component. Could there be a warrant article or a line in the budget for town communication, or does it have to be more specific than that?
I mean, you could put it that blankly, yes, as long as it was clear to the board what the intent was, and then we would approve it through the budget process, that would be fine.
And we can also think of this like short-term and long-term.
Yes.
What was the date, what was the deadline for the January 24th?
24th.
And what was it for, to submit a warrant article?
So that's the ideal deadline for a warrant article, because that will give the select board time to review it before the budget committee's meeting on the 30th.
Okay,
The absolute drop dead deadline for warrant articles is February 7th. But then that only leaves the budget committee that 30 minutes before their hearing to be able to discuss it and make a decision.
Okay. So I created a Google Doc that you guys can all dive into. I'm pretty sure you all have access to it. It's in that Town of Brentwood communications folder. I threw it under the presentation to the select board folder because I didn't even know what to call it. And it's called Brainstorm How to Provide Town News. And Danette's in there, I'm in there. So I don't think we need 10 ideas, but I did allow for 10 places. And so I don't know if we want to start at the two extremes of the spectrum and then work our way into the other ideas, or how you guys want to start. I mean, the obvious place to start is to say to do nothing, which is not productive, but we can. I mean, you're not spending money, you're not taking anybody's time. But I don't know if that's a smart way to start or not. If you guys have thoughts on it. Did you find it? Did you find the Google Doc?
Can you,
And
sorry, go ahead.
No,
No,
go
finish
ahead.
your Letty. I was just gonna say, can you, maybe it's just maybe, can you restate what the select board has exactly asked us to do? It's because they pulled the funding from the
Yep.
Rutland newsletter. They
Yep.
want us to recommend how else to communicate
Mhm.
besides like our Facebook and website and
Word of mouth.
like
I
word
don't-
of mouth.
They
I don't
didn't
even
pull
know
the
if it was
funding.
that casual, I don't think it was that directed even.
No,
I think it was just, the
yeah.
communications committee can figure out what we should do next.
Oh. Okay. I'm just confused a little bit still, I'm sorry.
It's
Just because
confusing.
they're still gonna have a newsletter, right?
Yeah.
It's just that it's
And
gonna
we
be
can
privately
take, we
funded.
can take that into consideration.
And we still have our social media that we're working on. We're working on our
Yeah.
website. So I guess when you
Yeah.
say do nothing, I think we're already doing a whole bunch of stuff,
Well, yes,
kind of.
but I mean not adding anything immediately. I mean, if we're
Maybe
gonna
don't,
start from.
maybe do nothing and don't change what we're already doing.
Okay,
Yeah, like
that's
our-
better, yeah.
Cause right,
right?
So I'll rate
Like
no
our-
change, how's that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's not the do nothing. It's more, yeah, I guess that's why I was a little bit confused. 'cause
Okay, that's
I
fair.
feel like we
Right?
are communicating. That's exactly what our full
Yep.
committee is for.
Yeah,
it looks.
So I
good.
wouldn't, you know,
thank you. That's good.
okay. Just wanted to restate the
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And there is still, so there is a town newsletter line in the general government budget, and that still has $17,500 in it.
I thought that was removed.
But that was removed from the budget committee's budget,
Okay.
and the select would have left it in for right now. So there's still a town newsletter line that has $17,500 in it.
Okay, so, and we're just gonna weigh everything, because that's good decision-making, right? We're gonna come up with every good thing, bad thing, and then we might not be able to get through it tonight, but we'll see. So, if you guys have thoughts or ideas, I got an email from Bob Glowicki, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, and he works over in Exeter. And so he was pointing me to Town of Rise newsletters. He's already been through some of this process, so he was saying that, now this is his job, is communication.
He's the communication coordinator for the town of Exeter.
So,
He lives in Brentwood though, right? His
His
parents
did.
parents do, he doesn't anymore, but he grew up here.
they're having the same trouble, how do you get information through to the town? So I think Town of Rye might do quarterly newsletters.
It
do.
does. I have it here,
I get them.
Oh, do you? Okay.
but it's,
You get them too? Oh. Well, anyway, if we kind of want to reach out to other towns that are working on this stuff, we can. I think he said he'd make himself available. So,
Barrington sends out a notice twice a year. So
Who
inside
does?
the town of Barrington,
oh,
with their tax bill, there's the white tax bill, and then behind it, they put a yellow trifold piece of paper. double-faced, and then they put all of the news on there.
So does it make, this is a little, working a little backwards, does it make sense to start with when? Like timing?
Frequency almost?
Yep.
So, Steph, can you tell us how to find this document?
It is,
Did you email it? Did you?
well, I wonder if you don't have access to it, because
Right.
it should
Well,
be,
Can I?
Google Doc.
it should be
It's
in the
folder.
folder, that Google folder. It's funny, because when I email, you, I get it
Yeah,
doesn't,
Because my Outlook account is not my Gmail account, so sorry.
no, it should make a difference, but,
Can you just click and hit share now?
Can
Can I?
Yeah, you can.
I just see tons of minutes and.
Yeah.
she's gonna
If I-
share.
If you sort by
Share.
name, you might see the folder. For me, it's in
I'm
a
gonna try to
folder
share it.
That works.
called,
Danette's gonna share it with you.
but-
Thank
so
you.
that-
Yeah.
And Andy, you want me to do it too? Andy too?
Do you wanna
Do you
look
want
at,
it or are you?
do you
all
wanna
set?
look at it or
I don't
no?
mind looking.
Okay.
Oops, no, I don't want that. I don't want my friends. Okay.
I would offer to move my
There we
computer,
go.
but sometimes it needs to work.
I'm a left-hander,
Did I
so
do
I
it?
can.
No?
Do,
Yeah, because my
do-
Gmail is separate from
Oh,
work.
that's right.
So do you want my Gmail?
I,
Sure,
Yeah.
yes.
GRAY?
she's gonna share it with you, so you can just hit your email and have it
Yeah,
go right
let me
to
write
it.
it down.
Pardon?
Okay,
I forgot
she's
we
gonna
were
share
Email
it.
it to me.
recorded.
Yeah, so you should be
Great,
able,
thanks.
Just write it on the bottom.
and it's
See,
lit,
they always have your
and
back.
you're welcome to
Yeah,
grab and
if
type.
She'd include me
I
for
wouldn't have thought of that
afterwards, that
either.
would be,
Nope.
you know, to look
Okay.
at it afterwards,
Okay.
that would be great.
You,
No.
I think you'll have
Everyone's
access to
watching.
it.
Okay.
Just imagine.
I'll check. I'll check.
A million emails.
And if you wanna.
Thank you.
I
Oh,
am
tight.
peering over,
You
I'm
can-
peering over your shoulder.
You just yell at me.
Okay.
All right, so, let's see, I had started, that was weird, it didn't keep it. Frequency, and you guys just, like, I don't need to be the person writing if you wanna start
I
diving
don't
in.
know if
It's-
either of you, I just shared it.
So,
Emails.
so, do you wanna just throw times out, like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually?
As needed. As needed. Because I feel like the Facebook thing is kind of as needed. Right, she posts stuff there as it comes up.
Yeah, and this is for all town and town entities, I guess, so, all right, so,
I guess my question is, are we trying to do this digitally, or are we trying to do this in a paper format?
we can talk through what makes sense.
Okay.
What is your preference? I mean, all of you are from different segments of the community.
Mhm,
What,
I think you need both.
where do you go to get your news?
yeah,
I mean, I go digital, but I think that I don't represent everyone in town. I spend a lot more time on my computer than I think a lot of people do, especially in certain demographics. And so I think if you rely too heavily on any one thing, you're missing another population.
yeah, and I know
I agree.
when we first started this, how I saw the town sharing news was website, the 2 Facebook pages, and word of mouth. And the Brentwood newsletter. So,
I mean, I think, for me personally, I would like to go to the Brentwood website, because that's where I think of going first. That's like the authoritative source
Mhm.
for information.
The town
The town website.
Okay.
Over Facebook or anything else, I'd
Yeah.
rather go to the town website.
Yeah.
And then I think for those folks that don't have access to technology
Mhm.
as easily or want to use it as much, I like the idea of maybe having a updated calendar or something within the tax bill. Because then there's not added cost of postage, you're still
Mhm.
getting information out. It may not be as up to date,
You can't, yeah, it's not gonna be dynamic.
it won't be dynamic, but it can list, here's what we know about for the next 6 months. You know, here's the things to be aware of, and to fill in the gaps, then you go to the website. That would be my preference, if,
so,
So I would, I'm open to both digital and print. I think that the website should be the highest priority, because it's so, we need it anyway. We need an updated, user-friendly, I know the select board is predisposed to wanna make sure that happens already. And it's not user-friendly currently. So it would really serve a broad purpose, of access to town information. And it would be hopefully constantly updated, dynamic at least. And so in terms of prioritization, I would love to move the website to our highest priority, make that move as quickly as possible.
And so that's kind of a long-term goal, because
I don't think it has to be, excuse me, I don't think it has to be long-term. I don't understand why it can't be done in like a 3-month period.
is there, what did you say at the town meeting when we talked through it a little bit about like the process of what it takes on the select board town budget committee and all of that to approve? Because I think it's gonna take some time for us to information gather. And then,
There's already money being spent for the monthly, so there's some money in there already. And there's obviously options, I think, that Josh has already explored in terms that are specifically designed for municipal websites. So it's we has to simply choose which template was the most appropriate for our size town. And then it's a process of getting the town staff and others to begin to populate that template.
Yeah.
But that isn't, to me, to call it a long-term process, I think slows it down too much, and I think,
yeah,
I would, we would have to focus on it, and we have to help the town focus on it, but I would say it could be done in 19 days, I would agree.
It could, I think, given, and I didn't want to jump ahead in the agenda, but given where the conversations that I've had so far with some of these vendors, some vendors say you can get up and running within a day, and we've already walked through some of that. So it depends how customized you want it to be, what you need it to do.
how old was the person that you were talking
But I think that the challenge becomes, what does the board, what does the committee, and what
Yeah.
does the select board want out of a website, right?
Yeah.
So we can go very basic, and we can have a website that we can put agendas on, and meeting minutes, and some news, and that's something that can be done in 30 days. If we want something that ties in the rec department and ties in, other departments within the organization to do things like payments and signups and things like that, now you're talking, 4 to 6 months as a project, so.
Yeah. That's in my mind, that's
Yeah,
what I
there's-
have, is 4 to 6
A
months.
decent sized wish list for that.
So these companies that you're talking to, is it possible to start out with kind of just that basic thing and then add more features as we get up and running, or is it kind of?
With some of them, yes.
Okay.
With one of the solutions, it's really designed to be they call it municipality as a service.
Mhm.
It's, you take what's on the shelf and you run with it. That one itself does not even offer like a rec department program type setup. So that would be a choice that the committee would have to make. Like,
Yeah.
do you include that or not? If you want to for future expansion, that would rule out one of the vendors,
Interesting.
so.
Do you have pricing at all?
Yeah, so, do you want me to jump ahead to that piece, or?
We can, yeah, we might as well. We were very fluid in our conversation,
Okay.
I don't mind jumping around a little bit.
So for pricing, the basic, so there's one out there called Town Cloud. And the rep from Town Cloud that I spoke to basically provides a package that would be a hosted website. It has news, it has, and actually I can share a link with you all to take a look at a sample site. If you go to denmarkmaine.org, that is a town site that is running their software. And so it will provide two packages. There's a website package and there is a agenda package. The agenda package allows, town staff to assemble agenda packets for select meetings and other committees. It allows for the digital storage of that, archiving, versioning, and determining when to publish it out for public consumption. They don't have a notification type of system built into that software package. It is something that they're considering in the future, but they don't offer that today. That company is the one that does not offer like rep registration software.
So it's really basic.
It's basic. It
Yeah.
would be, let me just, $2,500 for 3 years of hosting. If we wanted the agenda package, it's based on how many admins are using the agenda software. So if it's just, Karen, it's $50 a month for the fee for the agenda package. Any additional users would be $25 a month. And if we went with that, they would also apply a 30% discount to the overall package for us. So in terms of a hosted solution that's suited for municipalities, it's the cheapest solution that I think we're gonna find.
Are you able to link other services onto this? Like Daphne has, like she has the,
E-registration.
like E-reg,
Yeah.
and we have like Access JS for our mapping and Patriot Properties. They link to,
Yes.
Pro. Are you able to do those functions?
You would be able to do those functions. It's just if we wanted it tied and integrated, you wouldn't be able to do that. But you can link out like you do from the Brentwood website
Okay.
today.
So similarly to how it's operating now.
Similar for those functions.
Looks like they have a Google Calendar.
They do have a small calendar
Do you wanna see
system
anything in particular?
that's out there.
Happy to look over your shoulder.
And Karen, do you know what our monthly costs are now for the website?
It is $111 a month for the hosting.
What's the name of our service now?
We host it through Legend Software.
Legend, with an S or no S? Legends?
No.
Legends.
Which they actually had an issue this afternoon because the Brentwood website was pointing to the
Mhm.
rec website.
Saw that. Time for vacation camp.
Yeah.
I need.
At least it didn't shut down the entire airport system.
Yes.
Does the
Yes.
website have its own line, or is it in one of the other
It's
budgets?
in the IT budget.
Oh, the website is.
Josh, did you ask Denmark here, not to isolate the conversation, but how does their department handle registrations if you can't do it through the site here?
So I didn't speak to Denmark, I only spoke to the vendor rep
Okay.
that did it, but I'm not sure how they're handling it. That was something I was gonna
Okay.
look into on Monday. I actually have a meeting set up with this rep for Monday at 9 AM to have a conversation.
Okay. Did any of, and I don't know if this is the same question that Karen had, but like, did any of the vendors, did they also work with other developers? Because like when I go to my conferences and whatnot, I get like my rec software that is always trying to get me to use their, or to go through them for my website and whatnot. So if
So there are
if we were to
some,
go through a town, if, depending what software we use for a different department, would that be able to link up with some of these other ones? Or?
yeah, so we can certainly, even this one will support the linking out to it.
Okay.
It just depends on how integrated you want the experience to be. Like, ideally, you can brand everything and make it all look like the same town infrastructure.
Yep.
That wouldn't happen with the Town Cloud one. The Town Cloud one is, because it's so basic, the branding that you can get is like some color control and posting an image to the
Yeah,
front
it's
page,
really
like the Denmark one, that's about it.
It's more expensive. It'll be $2,400 a year just for the agenda packages.
So,
$2,400 per
plus-
year or for 3 years?
Well, no, the $50 a month is for the agenda package alone.
Okay.
And then the $2,500 is over 3 years for the hosting,
Not per year, but for all
Yeah.
3
for all three.
so I'm gonna suggest that this is definitely like a whole meeting's worth of conversation,
Yep.
and let's go back to it. But I don't know, personally, I don't know how we would accomplish all that in a short time. Like, I think it's a 4 to 6 month project, meeting once a month.
Well, I think
Because a lot of
so,
different department needs.
Yeah.
I think the evaluation of what you want is probably a month plus.
Yeah,
Then implementation
yeah,
is, depending on what you wanna implement, you're talking 1 to 5 to 6 months. And
yeah.
it's how you wanna roll it out. Like if you include the rec directly in the first rollout, you're definitely at a 6-month rollout,
Okay.
if that happens.
Could you just tell us what the price range is
So
did
like,
you look at it?
was there another, so what were some of the other companies that you?
Yeah, so the other two companies, one is called Town Web. I have a meeting with them at 11 a.m. on Monday. So I don't have numbers from them yet. I had to speak to somebody else in there. And then there is Civic Plus. That's probably the one everyone's
That's the
most
fancy
familiar
one,
with.
yeah.
They have like 5 different packages. They go all the way from a fairly basic site using open source software that they'll help you set up and host, all the way up to full-blown rec integration. You can even do like permitting and things like that for the town. So those packages vary widely. That went
Yeah.
anywhere from $25,000 setup fee just for design and implementation, which I said we're not doing.
You
Like,
made
don't
an
go there.
executive decision.
Yeah, I said, I don't think that'll go over. But down to their basic package. So I don't have his basic package price. He was going to check with some of his folks. But I have a call set up on January 20th at 4 p.m. With that company.
I'm writing these dates down.
What was the date again?
And I can
Sorry.
forward them to you too.
So,
January 20th.
kind of combining your two thoughts, the only thing that is of a time-sensitive nature is if you want any if you want to have any money in this next budget to be able to do this
But
in
then
the
how
next
do you
year.
evaluate it? Because the pricing's all over the place. So,
But I'm wondering, and I don't know how this works, but
yeah.
if there's $17,000 in the budget for the newsletter, is that already kind of appropriated, and can we say, there's 2 projects that potentially we wanna do within the year, and can we hold that for AV improvements for the town, as well as initial website launch and fees to support first year of hosting? And not necessarily use all 17,000 and give whatever's not needed back, but is that a way for us to have money available so that if we can start this come May, like there's money in the pool rather than waiting till March of next year? Is that something that's doable?
The select board can transfer the funds to another budget if they saw fit.
Okay.
And there's
So
not
I
an impact fees.
Well, I wonder if that would be a place to have that line of like town communication, right? Like if it's
Yeah.
not specifically for a newsletter, then it doesn't make sense to keep the money in that line, and just, if it's for this AV stuff and getting started on website things.
Right.
So maybe that's the conversation and just renaming that line item for this next year's budget. And instead of calling it newsletter talk about, call it town communication.
Can we just rename it? How
And
does
then
that-
that opens the door for you guys to be able to make some
How do you
recommendations.
do that? Who initiates that process?
You can, I mean, that can be part of the presentation to the select board next Tuesday, and then it's just something quickly I would do in the software.
And then it's a matter of the select board talking to the budget committee to align. Because right now the budget committee's put it down to 1.
So,
Yeah.
would you need quotes or anything to support the amount of money? Or is
They
it
would
pretty?
want that
yeah,
to spend it, but
Right,
They would probably want an idea of how much they should have in the line, right? So if we have an idea of how much the AV stuff
Yep.
ballpark might cost,
and can we
much?
get that by,
24th?
yeah,
So all the meetings so far are scheduled before the 20th. I can reach back out to,
but then,
there's 2 firms for AV as well.
but would they need to come evaluate and give a quote?
For a rough estimate, we can, I think that's what we should talk about tonight is, if we wanna talk about the website as one piece, what's the bare minimum functionality that you want?
Yeah,
And that can be part of the discussion, and they'll give a rough estimate. And then for an AV type of solution, what would you see as a minimum package? Like, for me, I'm thinking it should be room audio integrated with streaming audio. Like, that way you don't get the feedback and you don't get, and you're able to hear when you're in the room. Plus maybe presentation screen, so that way people in the room
Yeah.
can see what's being shared and discussed, so.
Yeah.
Like, those are the types of things I think we'd wanna talk about tonight, so that when we go to get rough quotes, we'll have that information for the 24th.
My head just went.
But I mean, that would
It's
be a
just
way
tricky
to,
because this is like that weird time where like, if we were having this conversation a month from now, it wouldn't matter because it would be too late.
Yeah.
For Town Web, did they give you an, I know you haven't really had much of a chance to talk to them, any idea what towns are using that if we wanted to look it up?
there were some examples, let me just find it real quick.
Fremont uses Civic Plus.
Yeah, I knew that,
I
knew
think
that.
everybody around us uses
Yeah.
Civic Plus.
Yeah.
Well,
Or there's, it's like a club.
Do you
Not
use it?
small.
Like, I would like,
I just-
as opposed to like seeing what
Right,
Exeter does.
right.
Yeah.
And it's
Because we
nice
can
and
look at
clean,
some of
like,
the others.
Yeah.
Town Darlington's page, I
I
think.
think
is
Kensington
busy, like there's too much.
Yeah.
may be using it as well.
The town.
Town Civic Plus, I think.
And then Town Web.
So Clayton, Georgia,
That's what
Clayton,
is an
Georgia.
example, and Vernon, Vermont.
Well, that's like a
Okay.
Vermont.
Okay.
Massachusetts.
For which one? The Civic Plus?
And that's also Civic Plus?
No, that's
That's
Town.
Town Web.
This
Oh,
is
Town Web.
Springfield, looks similar.
What is it, Vernon,
Now,
Vermont?
Town Web is, obviously Civic Plus is the big
Ooh,
player.
that's a little
Yeah.
better.
Town Web
This
does
is one
have
Rochester uses too.
a
I
designers
always find
on
this-
staff, so
Yeah.
they will
Yeah, you
actually
can tell.
yeah, you can tell,
Oh my
they'll
God.
customize it.
Okay.
Let's just, this is the town cloud. This
That's
is,
Denmark.
this is town,
Too, but it must be a
Web.
different
Town
package,
Web,
'cause
yeah.
it's much busier.
Okay.
sorry.
What's their
That-
menu
that
like?
tells
What
me
are
it's
the,
that different from these other towns?
Pretty
It must be very
standard.
Customizable.
Really
All
standard.
of this on the
does it
front page.
integrate with,
That'd be a, I don't know.
It's too
Okay.
much.
But and then it look at, oh, that button for trash and recycling is right there.
You got Andy's vote.
And this
Sold.
is nice too, actually. This is actually well done. Really quickly, like on a first glance,
Which one is
frequently
that?
asked. This is vernonvt.org, and it's
Town Web?
it's town web, and it's pretty, which checks off my box, but it's, it's got the standard things that everybody's used to seeing now. And then the next level of information, you see staff and volunteer directory, agendas, minutes, and videos, which is also another, like, hard to find thing, trash and recycling, and then frequently asked questions, and then goes straight into news and notices, which would be the section in our front page on the bottom that just is like the news feed, I think, right?
They also support subscriptions, which is different from, Town Cloud.
Okay.
And
And and they have a pay online,
they have a pay line.
They do have a pay online
payment
function.
system?
That one, I think we need to talk a little bit more about, what we can
Okay.
do with it.
To the calendar, yeah.
Stay informed, subscribe.
Yeah, it is kind of nice, isn't it?
All right.
So all these sites are incorporating more information that is generally available on our current website. Who updates and loads our current website right now? How much time does that take?
We all do it, so each department does their own agendas, their
Okay.
own minutes. Daphne does a lot of the homepage updates. And then we each kind of take care of our own pages.
How is the user experience, like the interface? Oh, you're shaking your head.
I don't like it. On my end,
I think Daphne has mentioned that not anything specific, but
For me, it's like, if I try to upload a program, it's very specific to the program. There's some of the programs I try to edit or whatever it is, I can't even change font size, font color, just something little like that. So, I struggle.
that's a really good question to ask all of these is what's for a group of people that probably ranges, right, from user, like you're kind of tech savvy, maybe
Yeah.
somebody else is not.
And there's plenty of other things that, my site doesn't offer, I get tons of emails, I say this every meeting, tons of emails. Did my registration go through? I would love to be able to let people get a notification that you successfully registered for soccer or whatever.
Yeah,
I'd love to let people be able to rent the building
Yeah.
from the website.
So you have your own separate website? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's through the same developer.
So
But
Yeah.
it's completely.
Mm-hmm.
So what, it sounds like, looking at this, it has everything, the Vernon one. But, and the fundamental question is, how much do we want to be able to have the other departments be serviced within the same line frame, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that seems to be the
Yeah.
fundamental price question.
It is,
And
yeah.
function.
It just feels
Yeah.
different.
Because otherwise, this is like, this one's fine.
And there's gotta be other ones out there that's comparable to this that look good, user-friendly, cost isn't off the charts.
There are definitely other shops out there that are focused on small government
Yeah.
municipal. But the challenge is you wanna find somebody, because we don't have a full-time IT person on
Yeah.
staff,
That
you
has
wanna
that
find somebody
service.
that's going to host
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna maintain it.
Yeah,
A lot of the companies that are out there will just do your design.
Yep.
And then they'll deliver you the
Yep.
design and say, go
Mhm.
self-host.
uh-huh,
And so I tried to stay with the ones that are going
Yep.
to host it and maintain it, so that
Mhm.
way we don't have that additional concern.
So all three of these host and maintain?
What do we have currently?
Okay.
We're self-hosting or we have someone
No, we
hosting?
pay for them to host, and so if there's an issue, we call them and,
Yeah.
that's that monthly cost,
Right.
that monthly fee,
yeah, so
right?
that's the customer service that
Right.
goes with it.
And then we could talk with some of the users directly afterwards and find out, is it indeed user-friendly? I mean, it looks nice, but.
Absolutely, yeah, we can definitely follow up with the towns themselves.
And police and fire have their own separate sites. I don't know what their functionality would be, but I would like it to be,
It would be nice if it
I
was
would
all
like to see
together.
that.
Integrated, yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be most of it. And
Yeah.
then we could incorporate your budget, whatever you pay, into, so
Mhm.
that would be an efficiency, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at police and fire sites so far, I haven't seen anything dynamic, it's all static content, so pulling that into the base package should be very easy. The only one I'm concerned about is the rec one, because it's a
Yeah.
registration system, it's
Yeah.
a two-way system.
Mm.
So,
Looks like a lot of people either don't have an online system for rec or they kick to a separate system.
and that's,
Yeah, a lot of, and that's why I raised that question earlier, is, can the sites or the vendors you were looking at, do they work with some of these other developers? Because, I mean, there's a limited, not limited list, but there's tons of options on the rec side of things on how to operate their sites.
Yeah.
Do you-
So that would be my thing, is like whatever site we choose, or vendor we choose to go with, depending on how we move forward with rec, we just have to be able to synchronize the two.
And do you currently have a monthly cost as well?
I mean, no.
No. So you self-host and that's it? I mean,
Well, it's the same developer, so if I still have an issue, I'm contacting the same person.
but you don't have a
No.
cost.
So,
to that.
yeah,
Right on.
falls under that same
And that's
monthly
true,
fee.
the police and fire, they don't have separate web costs?
I believe they have their own separate domains, but it's little
I
money.
know Janice told me she's
Fire
spends
department
basically
uses both
for
sites.
theirs.
nothing, and
I
it's,
don't think
it's
that's
very, it's
very-
small.
they're probably paying $50-$100 a year or something, just for the domain name.
Yeah.
There's a
I
thing,
forget if Janice said she was using Weebly or something easy, something like,
I think it was Weebly, yeah.
which I don't, can you even do that as a town? Do something like Weebly? I feel like there's a security component or something that you need to have with, I don't know though.
Realistically, as a municipal site, I think it needs to be ADA, like 508 compliant.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like, those are the things that, if you stand up your own site, you run the risk of not being compliant from that
Ah.
perspective.
okay,
So, like, long-term, I think you'd want to get people onto a municipal platform, because that's something that they care about, and making
Yeah.
sure that screen readers work for visual impaired, and so.
wow, I wouldn't even have thought of that.
It even comes down to like contrast and colors and
Mhm.
like how all that works to make sure that anyone can access the site information.
and like image tags and stuff.
Exactly, yep.
Are we I know I asked you, but are we currently able to do a news blast from our current website, like a subscribe situation?
Said we can, yes. The
And is-
functionality is just not turned on. There is a small cost to it though.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
What do you call that?
Like a, well, like this right
A
here.
blast.
I said news blast, I don't know what you would call it. I mean, I did a mock-up, if you guys wanna see it, of something that it just depends on how you guys wanna move forward. How immediate we think we need it, where was it? This part, subscribe, like, stay informed, you know, if there's, I don't know, is there an alert system with this one? Cause they're asking for a phone too, so maybe there's there's an accident on 125, avoid 125, that kind of situation. I don't know how that works at all.
I know Civic Plus stuff, I believe does
They
offer
have that
that
kind of thing.
telephone integration as well as,
It looks like they
Civic
might,
Plus can send out alerts.
yeah.
Yeah.
this is the town web.
Mhm.
It looks like they might have it too. Cause they asked for a phone, I don't know.
Town web, yes.
They do have
Says
it?
you
Yes.
can do it for agendas, minutes, and news
In our current site.
in our current site. If you wanted to add the text and emergency notifications, we could do that for $50 a month. And email subscription is $50 a month.
Separate?
Yeah.
Okay, so text, say that one more time for me.
So it's $50 to turn on the email subscription. And then another $50 if we want to add text notifications.
The one thing I don't think we've discussed and what's driving us away from the current vendor, because the current vendor's cheap, the design could certainly use a revamp, but is the usage from a data entry perspective, like, not good, or?
I mean, for what I need it for, it's fine. I think it's more Andy and
Okay,
Jeff that struggle with the back end system.
okay,
But I mean, when I'm using it, I'm uploading an agenda and I'm attaching minutes, or I'm attaching a document, and that's the extent of what I'm using the website for.
okay.
Or if you have to update hours and things like that.
So, sorry, before we
No.
move on from
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
do we wanna, like, just enumerate what are the basic things that we would want, so that way when we have the discussion to get the
Yeah,
rough estimates, we
Yeah.
can say, okay, a package that supplies X, like 10 departments, subscription,
how about we do this, we can write down as a group what we think,
Yep.
and then if you and I are gonna start meeting, then we can kinda sit and I can always check back in for like details, you know?
sure.
So the basic level would be, we need,
I would say 20 departments. There's 15 right here, but that doesn't include subcommittees. And I know that's a big, like, I think people would prefer each subcommittee to have their own tab.
Well, I don't know about a department, but there probably should be at least a section for the school, even if it links to the Sweezy website.
There's another section on our website that has external links that do link to the school, the library, and the historical society.
I just,
So
I don't know
maintaining
that people, I don't know that people would know to look there.
Can that be added? Can our, just a generic question, can our website, our current website be altered or amended a little bit to make it more functional in the interim?
I think so, I mean, there may be a cost component to do it, but I mean, those links are available right now. And then we can see what you'd like to make some small tweaks.
So when you say 20 departments, do you equate that also to roughly 20 users that would need publish rights?
I wouldn't need, like, we wouldn't need publish rights as a subcommittee though, would we?
Yes, because then you'd post your own agendas
Well,
and
that's
attach
true,
your own
that is
minutes.
true, yeah, that is true.
Self-service.
Bethany's
Yeah.
like, wait, I can do less.
So the hosting of agendas, and minutes, I'm assuming is a
Yep.
basic requirement. How far back, like, how many years worth of meeting agendas and minutes should be available?
7, I'm gonna guess 7, cause that's what the IRS likes.
I mean, I guess I don't see either minutes or agendas as being very big bits of data. So as many as we can would be my answer, right? Like,
That doesn't seem like that would be a capacity issue, right?
it would be,
Is
it would be
we-
an annoying housekeeping issue to get it all on there, but once it's
When it's all,
there,
right.
They're small, it's just how much storage do we want to
Okay.
Yeah,
pay
but
for?
yeah.
and- Yeah, because if you start adding up select board, conservation, you know, subcommittees.
how many, I guess how many do we have now?
Would videos be an issue? Because those are rather larger sizes, aren't they?
Videos, if we hosted them, I mean, we could always post them to,
Take them to YouTube,
YouTube,
they're already
yeah.
on there, right?
Minutes to the select board are, go back to 2011.
Mm. Over 10 years.
But I mean, we have to keep them in perpetuity here and also at the library, they keep a copy, so
okay,
if they're not on the website.
that's okay.
Is it just a storage issue? 'Cause like,
Registration.
you know, I've got 2 terabytes from Apple.
And do you want to
Right,
find a time where
Probably
we
more
can,
design.
and I can kind of
yeah.
walk through, and
Why don't
I can even show you my side of
Why don't we do that? Why don't we meet with Andy
Yeah,
and really get like, because he's got the most
a
requirements.
full use case.
It'll give me some time to look at the site too, because I mean, off
Sure.
the top of my head, I'm sure there'll be things I would, leave off right now.
Yep.
So, just let me know what works for you and for the two of you, and then I can make it work.
Does that make sense?
I do think Becky's question is relevant of if, once we have that framework of what capacity, it's fair to ask our current vendor, what is and isn't being met.
Right.
And could it be improved or adjusted or?
If there's a modest cost to make the few tweakings until the 6 months or whatever, until
Right,
anything
Yeah.
new is perfected, I would rather end up with a very good product than try to rush it and
Thank you.
miss
That's
some thoughts.
Yes, and we talked about that too, where it might take us some time to,
Yeah.
this here, all of this,
Mhm.
this is all organization that we would wanna sit and figure out how we wanna have people go through. And I know they probably have
there's
examples.
some example templates that
Yeah.
Either, right?
Yeah, but
Email
every
or
town's a little different, so.
Yeah.
Text, like, how would that work?
Does that make sense?
That's my preference.
Yeah.
Do you,
Um,
so it's like, when it's scheduled, you just throw
Do you
yourself
need
like that, like,
So,
hey,
so far I
register
have
your would she
20
send that
departments,
alert
which
out?
equates to roughly 20 users. Ex- Being able to make sure that the external links can fit into this.
Yeah,
Agendas and minutes
Yeah.
with organization for each of the departments or committees. Is there anything else like that we would consider table stakes to want to move forward with the package?
table stakes.
Yeah,
Do we need to pay online capacity?
yeah. Is that like
What'd you say?
Pay online.
I put that as a next step because if you, I don't know, depending on if you can add it with a different service, I separated that out with the next level.
a phase 2 type thing?
Phase 2 or a different vendor
So-
depending, I don't know.
There's a subscribe link on the town website currently. What does
Yes.
that
Yeah.
do?
It doesn't do anything right now.
It's not,
You
Well,
can
turn
subscribe
on.
if you
let
want.
me
It's not
rephrase
active.
that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
subscribed. So if I
tried
clicked on it, it gave
We'll
me
let you know when you
like
get
a
your
whole
news.
checklist of places, do you wanna hear about all of these different fire
Right,
department
it's not
homepage?
on, so it, because
Okay.
we're not paying for the service, so nothing happens. It'll let you walk through all of that and then you'll never receive.
I'm curious where that information just went, but
great
like,
communication.
that could be good to
Turn on.
Yeah.
turn on and try. So if people were interested in knowing when the next planning board meeting was,
What are some of the things on the
Yeah.
list?
Brentwood Fire Department, Brentwood Homepage News, Police Department, Budget Committee, Building Inspector, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Property Assessment, Public Works, Recreation Select Board, Supervisor to the Checklist, Town Clerk and Tax Collector.
So do you know what this all connects to? Is this to the news feed or is this
connects to
to?
nothing.
Back to us, so that's something that's maintained by,
But
Our
I'm
hosting
wondering if,
site.
where would we, if we turned it on and the vendor, I can't remember his name already, they have this list, but I like, what is the information, like where is it coming from and how does it get there?
So I guess that would be something to ask, I guess, a current vendor about, like if I check, I'd like to get updates about Conservation Commission,
Yeah, like,
could they send out their agenda and minutes to anyone who's interested? as like an email blast, or
Yeah.
how,
Or a synopsis of the meeting.
or,
however
or
you wanna
whatever,
handle it.
like, whatever.
Would the individual committees be responsible for doing
Yeah,
that?
that's it. And then.
Yes,
Working with volunteers.
yes.
Yeah, I feel like wouldn't it
Not
just go to.
discrediting
yeah.
anyone, but we're
Well,
volunteers.
But, yes, but if, and I'm using Conservation Commission as an example, if there's some project that they wanna work on, where they need volunteers, they can send an email blast to people who have said, I
Yeah.
wanna hear more about when Conservation Commission does something.
So
Even though, yes, they could go to the meeting minutes and the agendas and look up
And
themselves,
the onus is then on the volunteer to make that happen.
yes.
Yes.
Although I'm guessing if this is like most content management systems, you're probably seeing a list of like all the subcategories that are in the management system. And if
That's a really good
Conservation Commission posts something new to their page,
It
it's
might
gonna
actually
say,
automatically,
Automatically, yeah.
because that's where all their minutes and
Yeah.
stuff would show up anyway, so it might just say like, Conservation Commission has posted new minutes. So that would be the same as what they already
Be
do.
interesting to find that out for any of these packages.
yes, yeah, I'll check into that.
And who maintains the list?
Yeah, that's what I'm
When
wondering,
you
how much
subscribe,
work.
What
do we?
happens,
And that's a big question, actually.
right? Is there 40,000 emails sitting in a box that we have
Right.
to go and be like, oh, they moved out? Like,
That's
Oh,
actually,
yeah,
that's a
good
question for me for all of these too, like how do you maintain that kind of thing? Is it self-maintaining or is it?
So the email subscription list from the news services use a system where they'll just keep emailing people until they unsubscribe
Oh.
themselves. So if
Yeah,
you
that's
move,
my
you choose to unsubscribe.
next question, because
Yep.
would they get an alert every time like something opens up? So for instance, you know, in the next couple of weeks when I go to put in summer camp and spring sport registrations up, on my end of things, I don't know what it looks like on the site until I open it. And a lot of times I'll open it and then I close it right away and then I'll make my edits and then open it again. So if someone wants to subscribe to Rec, are they gonna get that constant?
We would know.
Notification?
We would just have to know, like, maybe it doesn't work until
that
you,
too, 'cause some of
Mhm.
the spacing comes out wonky.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what it is for me.
So I think part of that is probably the input style that we currently support doesn't give you a good preview rendering of what's gonna be there. So these have better rendering
Yeah.
up front, so you wouldn't do that. But then the other part is, most of these packages allow you to check send notification or not. And then so when you're posting, you
Okay.
decide.
Because
what
I
this
want
to
people to
be.
subscribe at the same time. I don't want, as I'm doing that, I don't want to scare everyone away, like, oh, freaking Rex doing this all over again.
Or you send it and then they remove it and then they go and they see nothing, right? So, yeah. Okay, so, we said subscription / email, we said agendas and minutes, external links, upwards of 20+ departments and subcommittees. Is there anything else that folks can think of that they think?
Calendar,
Um,
did we say calendar? Or do we have
Calendar,
to-
that's a big one,
a
yeah.
calendar that you can subscribe to, because I know for me,
Yep.
Yeah.
if it's just, if I can just look at my existing calendar and see stuff that's already been added,
And I would want it to be able to subscribe to other people's calendars, like the Historical Society. So it's more of a community level calendar
Yeah.
and everything. And I don't,
like it would automatically,
or the school too, well, like I just
Yeah.
said our next meeting's February 9th and there's 2 other big things and I didn't know, so.
I like the calendar on Fremont's website, 'cause it's color coded.
Yeah.
it's Google.
So every department is a different color, just like a mom calendar.
Yep.
Where like each kid has their own thing,
Yeah.
and it's easy to follow.
And isn't it populated like a year out, so you know that select board always meets this day and planning board always this week, and it's,
Yeah.
And ours can't do that, like we have to
Yeah.
add each
Oh,
individual
really?
meeting,
yeah.
and so it's each individual meeting, and then you attach the agenda,
Right.
so folks that wanna know, you know, select board meets there's no way to do that without
Yeah.
reposting the agenda
Yes.
45 times.
So I have, if it's a Google calendar, I use Google, I literally have every Tuesday at 6:30 PM, selectmen's meeting,
Yeah.
and then if there isn't one, I'll just delete it off the calendar.
Yeah.
But that way I always kind of have that blocked
Mhm.
off.
Yeah, no, same. That's a huge limitation, I think, and the same with when you're making updates, what you just said, cause I think all websites now, like,
Mhm.
they almost have like that, you know, you're working in it mode, was it, like, so it
Yeah.
freezes everything. So
Yeah.
that if somebody's going on at the same time, they're seeing what was there,
Well,
and doesn't see what your updates are until they're complete and
John brought up
approved.
the preview screen, that we don't have that, I mean, I don't have it on my end.
I can't even imagine, yeah, cause I
The
play
ea-
around with
the
some
ease of
websites too,
use
and
Yes.
on the
always
inside
tweaking,
was a
and
really
then
big
I'll publish.
question.
So essentially publish, and then it's out there, yeah,
Because we,
that's,
you know, we can see the ease of use on this end.
crazy.
but
And
I
takes
don't
more
know what
time.
It looks like on the inside.
it takes you more
getting-
time, 'cause
Yeah,
you're
and
closing
then
and
on
opening,
top of
closing.
it, when
Yeah.
some of the features don't
Yeah.
work, like,
Mhm.
I'm trying to find all these different ways
This
and all the
might be a
different
really
hoops
good
to jump
option.
through, just to make it
Which one is
present.
that?
And then test it,
This is
and, yeah,
town
no, that
web
makes sense,
banking.
yeah, so that,
The other one feels like a trade to what we already have.
It's very basic.
Yeah.
The other one is
And
very
then if you're
Yeah.
doing that for a usage level, why, you know, why would you?
I've seen theirs, I think there's a lot.
I mean,
so that's what we should probably base some of our estimated costs around, something like this. So at least we can put it into the budget as potential, because we could always roll it over, right? It's probably better to ask for more and to get those, like, 2 budget line items. And then either roll it or use it, or, I don't know.
So I would imagine if we're asking for this pool of money to be saved for now, or relabeled, we're talking about first year implementation. And then we say, we're not expecting anywhere near that cost for ongoing support and maintenance, but first year to stand it up, you're talking about initial design, support
Yeah.
services, things that are going to be required to get something that I think everyone's gonna be happy with at the end of the day, so.
Well, and the AV stuff is a one-time.
Exactly.
That's not gonna be continuous either.
Yeah,
And the ongoing is already at least partially covered by what we're already paying.
right.
Is the
Mhm.
AV stuff a one time though? Because would you need servicing options, or is that like my this, you know, something broke, come in and fix it kind of thing? Do you, or I don't know how that
I don't
works
know what the
either.
system
They
is.
I'm
offer-
looking at you, Josh, I'm
Well,
so sorry.
No, it's fine, they do offer contracts where you can have like a service
Ah,
agreement.
Okay,
It all depends on how complex of a system you
Okay.
get, right? Because the service agreement will probably outweigh what you would actually need as a town, given, I mean, this is not a huge room, we don't need an elaborate AV system. We just need something that's going to work and make it serviceable, so I think we stick with more basic components.
do you need multiple AV? Like, where does the budget committee meeting, do they meet at the rec? Where does
They
the
meet
budget? They meet here?
Yeah.
Wow,
All
I
of
watched one of the YouTube videos and it did not look like this room. So
We
everybody
open
meets
the
here.
table.
Yeah, they-
Okay.
Could I suggest we make sure we wrap up the web discussion, and then go to the AV and then see what else we should talk about?
Yeah.
So we're-
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
All right, so you and I are gonna,
We'll have those conversations
I
with-
suggested tag teaming and helping Josh so it's not on his plate, so that if either of us have extra stuff, we can, there's 2 of us listening. We'll meet with Andy.
I don't know if Monday works, I can meet Monday, because
I
it
can
is a
meet Monday.
holiday, I'm not working, so.
Yeah, I can meet Monday too.
I will not be here Monday.
Oh,
And is that is fine.
I can meet
I
tomorrow.
love you guys, but I'm not gonna drive an hour down here for that.
Well, this is something I think we could even do virtually.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
wanna do
yeah.
virtual, I can do
we
that.
could set up a Zoom meeting and talk, so.
And AV definitely require, we haven't even touched on that, so that requires a little bit. So as far as making a deadline of the 24th,
So the plan would be to focus on
The website.
and to
Mhm.
rename the town newsletter 9 to town communications and reallocate those funds to this focus. Yes.
and
Would that be,
AV,
and,
go ahead.
what did you say that,
It's like $17,500.
I have no idea, would that be?
I think that should be more than enough for,
To start.
yes,
Yes,
for a basic town package that we'd be looking at.
Yes, it's not the civics.
'Cause I don't think there's appetite, unless somebody says otherwise, to do like a full-blown custom design town website. I think we wanna stick with
Packages.
packages,
Yeah.
yeah,
yes.
We're frugal, right?
yeah.
We're busy.
Yeah, that too.
Well, and frankly, anything's gonna be an upgrade from what we have
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
so.
Are there certain key pieces that you want me to look into with our current website now? Like, what's the appetite to focus on something in
Well,
particular on our website?
I know you gave me at one point a usage, like a sort of a read of what parts of our website were getting hit the most, so I mean, that, we have that. I mean, we could probably update it, but I don't know.
But I think in talking with the vendor, it'd be good to understand, how does their subscription service work? What does a
Mhm.
sample email look like that somebody would
How does
receive?
it get triggered?
Yeah,
Mhm.
what triggers it?
Oh, for your, are you saying for the current website? Or,
Any tweaks to
and, okay.
improve it in the
Mhm.
interim.
I'm gonna pause and ask if you guys are able to go past 8, or some of us can go past 8, or if we need to wrap up at 8.
I can go past.
Could we say like 8:15 be the hard stop?
We can try. Or if you need to exit,
Is
we
it
can
still
still
raining or snowing
talk,
or
because
doing
there's
something?
I think
4
it's
of
gonna
us,
be
5
raining
of
most
us.
of the time.
So if,
Can we,
I'll look
once
at
we're,
it.
I don't know,
what?
do we have?
Yeah, there's
Is there still a quorum?
5, so we can still have a conversation, or
I mean, I can stay longer, I just think we can.
we're gonna hold
if
you
we do, we can
hostage.
move
Yeah, keep it moving.
Gentle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How many people are on the board?
7.
As long as there's 4,
Heavy.
keep talking, I think.
I'm not leaving till everyone's.
Okay, get your coffee.
We live far away, so.
That's right, and I don't know how to close this place up yet, so we're stuck here for a little.
Yeah, so-
All right, so website's the priority. If something magical happens with the AV, I'm predicting that that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate there.
Well,
But-
again, my whole thing is, if we're gonna ask for the line change, having more estimates will at least
Yeah.
back up the reason for that line change, so,
Okay,
that's why, I guess if we're done with what would be required from a basic website perspective, just talking quickly through what would be the AV components that
okay.
folks would like to see.
I think you kinda hit it.
Was that it? It was just,
The presentation would be my suggestion, the screen.
Planning board is looking at getting a screen that would pull down here
Oh,
so that
already.
audience members would be able to view what's on there.
So we don't have to pay for that. Great.
And sort of looping that in so that if we ever go back to being able to offer something Zoom, that folks would be able to see.
Oh, a screen, like a TV screen, not a projector screen.
do they already have plans for that?
They
And,
don't.
okay,
They've just sort of done generic pricing out.
because it may be something,
If we're talking
again,
to
like we
people.
wanna incorporate so that it all works together rather than
Mhm,
separate.
you could itemize it out if it came out of different budgets, right?
So a screen at the front.
Does that take care of, is that a tech thing that takes care of any kind of projection? Like you plug your computer in and everybody can see what's on the computer?
Yeah, so you want presentation option.
Yep. And then the sound you knew way more about than I don't know.
So I think you want microphones that are able to tie into the streaming system and an in-room audio system.
And then what, cameras, or is that those,
That's a camera.
are those part of this, or are those, these still good, you know?
That's, we only have one camera, right? Because I think it would be nice to have at least 2, so you can see, speakers and it could switch back and forth.
Or it can face that way, maybe?
Yeah.
Like basically,
Or you can choose which one you want on.
You could, I mean, they have it set up
What
where it's
about
just
The
buttons.
camera angle, so when someone's presenting, you have a view of your audience and your select board reps, and then the camera specifically at what's being presented.
Yeah. So
So
there's,
that suggests some
who's
liking,
making,
liking
so
in the audience. as
who's
well.
yes,
making those
miking the audience.
decisions about which cameras getting selected and,
That
like
one
how,
point,
like,
yeah.
I'm just thinking. about
Well,
some meetings
actually,
go to,
I
how
like-
does that actually work?
I like Andy's
Yeah, 'cause
idea.
even with the big screen, the camera's way back there. I mean, I've tried watching meetings before, and I mean, if someone's putting something on, I mean, it's gonna be tough to read regardless. If you have a close-in zoom shot of what's being presented, whether it's a budget, whatever it
So
is.
you are going to come to the, like,
No.
Like the library has the owl camera, do they have something like that would tie into something?
They have ones that if you have multiple cameras, it can tell based on the volume of who's speaking, which camera to switch to. There's another option that's a little lower cost that you basically get like a pad of a couple of buttons in front of somebody sitting at the table, and they'd either hit presenter or TV or whatever.
That's
Yeah.
that actually could be great, because even like when we have public comment, if somebody had to come to a microphone somewhere, and then, because they were speaking at that microphone, there would be a camera that would be on that, I think that would
Yeah.
be good if it doesn't cost a lot.
I mean, the good news is the technology's gotten a lot cheaper.
I'm not gonna remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is good.
That everyone can hear all the side conversations that they have.
Oh, you can, oh, you already can, yeah, you can hear stuff on, yeah, because the sound, anyway.
Yeah.
That's fine. That'd be great.
So I have,
Stop the side conversations.
No.
so I have at least one screen, microphones for the committee or board talking, plus a microphone for the audience that is streamable and goes to the in-room. Presentation option for hooking up laptops to the screen. Multiple cameras, or what they call a PTZ camera, which is one that can pan and tilt and zoom, so that it can point to the right speaker.
I have an additional question. Is this the type of thing that needs to go out for like an RFP?
If it's more than $10,000, yes.
Okay. Do we need to have that by January 24th, or we're
No.
just,
No,
okay,
you just need, like,
a base, like.
so
to say-
ideally you'd have you'd have exactly what you would need for how much funding.
Right,
I think if you could at least like get a t-shirt sizing ballpark,
yeah,
so that
Mhm.
there
To
could be an
work with.
idea.
okay.
Do you know if is there a floor plan available for this room that we could get? That shows like dimensions
I
and
can
things?
check with Kip.
Is the select board authorized to expend ARPA funds
Yes.
in between in between annual meetings?
Yes,
Yes.
they're,
So
What is it
this
called?
part,
What did you say, what is
the
it called?
ARPA funds, the
Okay.
federal dollars that this town is holding now
Yeah.
and must be
Okay,
allocated by
like one time.
24 and spent by 26, something like that.
Pay attention.
And so this is a perfect use of an
Yeah.
ARPA fund, because it is
Yeah.
a
It's a
one-time.
one-time,
Yeah.
one-time
So-
thing.
I know that
So
there,
if it can be expended without having to go to the town,
Mhm.
then we don't have to put it into that $17,000 budget. We can
Yeah,
hold it
I'm almost
separate.
feeling like the AV might be more that level.
And that would be,
Mhm.
so I think you don't have to feel as constrained, and I think we shouldn't tumble together with the
Uh-huh,
website budget line items.
uh-huh, okay.
in theory, that means you could just do it sooner.
Yeah, okay. Is there,
How much is left that's not allocated?
149.
149, okay.
Off the top of our head.
Yeah. Comes up.
All right,
Um,
that's great.
Okay, so do you guys feel like, so there's still an immediate need to get news out to the town. So do we feel like investigating the current, what Letty, the subscription situation, should we investigate that or is it not worth it and we just put all of our eggs in doing a new website and
I guess, I don't know,
waiting?
I feel like those who you're gonna get a subset of people who visit the website to actually subscribe. People may want news but don't want it like flooding their inbox.
Right.
So I think we could do a low fidelity option, which is kind of like put a PDF up on the website. And if people want to download, if there's news to be had and it's in a PDF, they could get it. But I don't know if it's worth like trying to spin up the whole
So,
subscription
I think
service.
It's worth trying to figure out what gap are we trying to fill, because as you mentioned, the newsletter is not going away.
Right.
So what gap is, like, what problem are we trying to solve?
So I think there's an immediate need to be able to get information to the town from certain departments are not, I don't wanna say more important, but more frequent maybe information comes through. Like, so there's still a need for information to get funneled through to.
What if you did something in the meantime, like where you're letting the public know, like, where do I go? Like, if you have a question for a dog license, like, it's a quick, I can contact the clerk's office.
Yeah.
So it's maybe like just a quick, there's my resource, I can go reach out to that person, versus supplying something every month or quarter
Yep,
or anything like
sorry.
that.
I think that's the biggest problem with their website, like, everyone knows Daphne, right, and everyone knows that's where they go to register their car, but they might not know that her title is the town clerk, so
Mhm.
they might not know to navigate to the town clerk's page to
Right.
do the e-reg and do the taxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's the teaching component that's sort of missing, right? Like,
That's
people
kinda
don't
what
know
you
to go to
said,
the highway
right?
department to view
Yeah.
where
You didn't even
trash
know
and
what to look,
recycling
you didn't
is.
know what you were looking for to look for it on the website.
No, I wanted to, my husband and I went to the budget, the town meeting, and we were like, what is this, how? And I went to attend a select board, and I had to call Karen, be like, where do I go? It's not on the website. So there is that, everybody in town kind of know the, you know,
What
know
you
what-
need, but not where to get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I think there is a whole, so you've got, you do have the website that people do go to for information. You've got Facebook, which is instant, real-time information, but it, like, you know, you're not,
Yeah,
it's,
it's not.
you're, it's not, it's fragmented, right?
Right.
Because you're just seeing it really quickly. There is the newsletter that arrives monthly printed, and I know the working relationship is different, but I think that fills a part of this where you're getting printed material in the mail. I think the whole is getting an email. And that's why I was asking about this, you know, subscribe, because I feel like as far as information goes, like, Facebook is great, but not everybody's on there, and it's, you know, like I just said, and then the website is there, but it's, I don't know if you wanna call it passive, or it's like people use it probably to go and get specific things, and they're in and they're out, right? An agenda, out, like, I'm looking at it because I'm like trying to feel what's going on, and you get something in the mail, potentially, and then I feel like when I get stuff through the email, I'll actually sit and read it.
Well, I think it's to the
So-
point, I think Letty actually said it too, everyone well, maybe you didn't, but everyone consumes information differently. So you're
Yes.
right, I think that
Yeah.
is one missing component, and just thinking of when I do blasts for different, like one of the New Hampshire Mental Health Board that I sit on, I'll do e-blasts, and then I update our website, and then we have our Facebook, so it is, however you consume, so when we're talking about the different populations in our town, which you brought up, Karen, like, that probably is the one missing
Mhm.
component. Cause you have the mail, you have email, you have social media,
Yep.
Is
And
there-
in person.
Is there a rec newsletter? Like, do you have a,
No, I
no,
just
I
always,
guess, I guess the library has an email blast that they send out, and then they direct they kind of tell people what's gonna be going on, and then
Yeah.
they direct them to the website.
I actually
They
didn't
have a
even
paper newsletter
go
too.
that far.
They also have a paper
Do they
newsletter.
print it,
It's on their website.
but do they mail it?
No,
I don't think they mail it.
no.
They leave them at the library, and you can pick them up at the town office.
So I have something I worked on, and I can show you guys, or if you wanna talk through, I don't wanna influence any kind of brainstorming, but I do have something. So my thought on this situation was, you know, you treat the town news like almost like a press release, and you put the news out there in a frequency that you want, that makes sense. You could do weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever, that, I personally think bi-weekly might be good. But, and so the task shouldn't fall on any one person or any one group. So my thought was to create something that would self-run, and it's like a collaborative effort. So every town or entity would be responsible for what they want to put out. And then the information's there, the newsletter can pick it up. it can be updated as, like, you might have something in there just about the select board meetings. You might want to just do a one-line highlight of things that are going on and then say, go to my website. So it's almost like acts as like a interactive directory. Josh has seen this because I needed to vet it, because I was like, is this technically possible? So I can show it to you guys, and we're not gonna have enough time to talk about it, but, and maybe this is a temporary thing until we get, another website set up and however the.
So would it be like a Google Doc that everyone just adds to, and then on a scheduled bi-weekly or whatever basis is decided, it goes out to whoever's
However,
subscribed?
anybody feels like they want the news to be out there. Like,
Yeah.
yours might change every 2 months. I don't even know if Janice needs to add to it, but you can direct everything to her stuff.
So this too would be digital? You're talking about?
Yes,
Right,
it would not be printed.
and how do we get it out to people? Because I assume we don't really have an email list. with a
So
temp-
that's where the subscription
But
thought came
that
up.
will take a lot of time and be very slow in terms of, I think, uptake of people.
It could be, yep.
So I'm not arguing against it eventually, but I don't think it's a short-term solution, because I don't think we have the list to get it out to people.
No, it could also get announced on Facebook and be put up on the website, sort of our traditional methods
Yeah.
in town, and the idea of a subscription. That's another
It
good
could be a
question,
way.
would a subscription list carry over?
From one to the other.
Like, is it worth it? Is it worth starting it?
Yeah,
I would assume it would carry over, because
I don't know.
but
Usually
even
you
if
can
we,
fill, right?
yeah. But having, it could be a good way to
Like
even
if
just
we-
start
like
the
if
tool
we
of collecting
start
that information
This
for those people
sheet
who
gets
would.
an email list started, and if we eventually have something on a
A new
website, could
website,
we take the list that we've already started and kind of move it over to
or
that?
would people have to re-sign up, which is kind of a pain? Has to be
yeah, it just depends,
or
one, how the
refreshed.
current software's set up, if they can export, and
Mhm.
then,
So you're sort of talking about like every 2 week or every 3 or 4 week digest of the things that are being basically pulled off of the web, because we want people to be
Informed.
not doing not having to
No.
write things twice or
No.
produce things twice.
And the select board might wanna update theirs every time, but somebody who, like, I was kind of getting to a point where, I started putting stuff in the newsletter, and I was like, every month is too much. Like, the way we operate, like, bi-monthly would be good for our group, so it'd be, you could decide what pace makes sense. I don't know, the police department, maybe they would put something in every time either, I have no idea.
And they could just put it in for whenever they want to.
And this is a
If it's
Google
on a
Doc
regular
on the
schedule.
website they're accessing to see what's coming up.
So
that what
it would
this
be,
is?
the inside would be a Google Doc that all the different departments and groups could access. The deliverable would be a PDF that carries all of, do you want me to show it to you? Do you wanna see it? And this, I did this because I was thinking about it and I had to do it, so this might be too much. Like, it might be too much.
Well, I think
Without
that's-
seeing, I don't mean to interrupt, I guess my counter to that is just, without seeing it in front of me is, if they're going online for this, wouldn't a resident just then go to the department they're seeking on the website?
Yep. But this would, if it makes sense to do a subscription, it would land in your email box. So that's the only, it's the hole. I think
Gotcha.
it's the hole in the communication.
just another way to consume the same information. It's like putting it,
So it's like highlights of the website in an email?
highlights
So-
of that, and the
who will
social media
organize that?
posts and the website.
Every person would be
Yeah.
responsible for their own, because it's a Google Doc. So, and then my thought is that the newsletter can pick it up like a press release. And if they wanna print updates,
Some of it, or none of
Yeah.
it, or.
or they can continue to work with,
Individual departments
Yeah.
as they choose.
but it would make it so that you know, and I don't know what all's gonna I don't know how things are gonna develop, but that was my thought. It may be repetitive, it may not be the right answer, but here, I'll swing this around and you can see. It might be too like manual. I don't know if you can see it.
I like the idea too, that Andy said in the beginning, almost like where to go, so even if we like, in the very, very short term, put up some sort of document on the front page of our website, like, click here to see where to go for your information. And then
Yeah.
maybe there's also something else we could put on there to say, new updates available, you know what I mean, so that they can know where to go.
To me, I think the issue we're trying to solve temporarily is, what do we do to, for that stopgap situation? And to me, it's that quick, all right, what resource can I go to for this? And it's that. This, to me, and then it's also the other side of it is, what demographic are we trying to hit the most? To me, the newsletter, you're losing a big part of that older
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
If someone's already going online for this, again, I just think at that point, when they just go
Yeah.
2 seconds over,
website,
just
yeah.
to go to the planning department or go to the rec department
Yeah.
for the news that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, I think overall, I mean, again, nothing in terms of timeline, but what we've been talking about in terms of the website and the Facebook is people are coming to that, so they're being pulled to that. And what we don't have officially now without the Brentwood newsletter is something that's being pushed out. And so, and that can be either digital or print or both, but that's what we don't have. And I don't think we will have in the immediate term. Because even if you're talking about a digital bulletin, you're talking about a coordination effort, you're talking about, someone's gonna have to launch on
So
that. And then, even then, I don't think we have in the short term, the email list.
So that's the big problem
To
to
push
work
out.
around, yeah, like, is it worth it or not?
So, I mean, over time, I do think we should be trying to figure out how to push some regular information out to people. And in one way or both, either digitally or in print or both. But I don't think we're in a position, either way, we don't have the infrastructure to do either short term.
So short term, pivoting, because this conversation about the website wasn't what I was expecting, so it's actually really good, actually, What if we're pivoting and we are able to use that news feed a little bit more?
The subscription.
No, the one that you guys post, what's on the web, on the Brentwood?
The homepage. that
Yeah,
feed in
on the
center.
homepage, that news feed.
That's just a news and notice bulletin that we can post to.
Oh, news and notice.
Yeah.
I think, I look at that as critical, important, immediate things, not, here's some information about what the rec department is doing, or here's some information about what the library is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, this is, sign
Yep.
up to vote, or sign up
Yep.
to run for office, or,
All right, I'm gonna
Will be
I'm gonna
closed on
retract
this
my
day.
comment.
Deadlines to
thought.
pay your taxes.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Register the dog,
Yeah.
don't forget.
That's the big one, the dogs.
We're talking, well, maybe it's my age, but we're talking about all kinds of methods of communication. We are all as individuals swamped with information, and the more ways you put it out, the less people are gonna pay attention to. So you have to focus on what you think is gonna get the best return and reach your entire population.
Yes, but I think also everyone does information differently, so
Differently,
you wanna
right.
kinda cover all of the bases.
Right.
That's
So-
why it's nice if you can do it once and then it goes out all of these places, and we're not there yet. But it'd be nice to create something once, and so then it goes to Facebook, it goes to a newsletter, it goes to an email, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's, and it's getting there. We have the programs like Hootsuite and all these places that you can, start doing stuff like that. But it is, we're bombarded with information, but then we all have our preference on how we like to receive it.
Well, for the
And I
next,
think to fulfill our responsibility back to the select board, I think they seem to be asking, correct me if I'm wrong, that they wanted to have some regular communication that was being pushed out, that it wasn't only passive. And so that can be digital, it can be print, it can be both.
Mhm.
But in either case, I think we have to give them some options of what that might look like
Mhm.
and state that in both cases, that's gonna take some time, and in both cases, it's probably gonna take some volunteer help so that we're not assuming the staff is gonna take on that responsibility, because
Yeah.
even doing an electronic bulletin, getting people to, all the different departments put something in every 2 weeks, I've done this.
I was
I've done
gonna
this.
say,
Well,
you've done
so,
this.
so my thought is
It's
that
not
it's
gonna-
not
it's
every
not
2
gonna
weeks.
to do.
So my thought would be you'd have you could fill it out once and it could just be repetitive, or you could update it. So it wouldn't be requiring everybody to do bi-weekly updates. It's the frequency that allows for updates if you need to update something that often.
The only.
But I'm not pushing for this, this was just an idea, like, I just had to do it out and kind of like think, would this be a reasonable way? This is how corporations are, like the last 2 companies I worked at, this is how people work. You're in Google Docs and collaborative documents and so. Do you guys feel like we need to meet again sooner than a month? I mean, if we're gonna present as a group on the 24th, I think we need to meet again.
I'm willing to if we find a date.
Or do you wanna do a micro, like a smaller group and,
Can we do like a Zoom meeting or something?
No.
Where it's,
that was fast.
no Zoom meeting.
So do we, I'm just thinking about timelines so that we can gather information, get
Yeah.
it back, and then talk about it as a group before we
Yes.
go to the
Yes.
select board.
Yeah,
Can we plan to bring it to the select board on the 31st?
It's too late.
No.
That's too late.
yeah,
It's gonna be the 24th.
that's,
So-
yeah.
Okay,
No.
so
Has to be
can
next week.
we as a group decide whether or not,
Wait a minute, this is if it costs money.
True. If you don't want money, go ahead.
If we don't want any money, then we don't need to do anything by the 24th.
Well, so
But
we're asking to relabel,
That part, yes,
we're asking to relabel the
Yes.
budget, right? So,
yes.
But we already decided that,
and-
right? That one's,
And I think we're gonna be giving them cost range information that
yes.
we want them to, and the AV, again, I guess the AV thing doesn't have to be by the 24th, because it could be an ARPA request. But I think if we could meet the following Thursday, and that would,
On the
From 19.
19th,
yeah, or it'd have to be the 19th, right?
and then from there, so
Before I promise
do we
that.
wanna, in this week, do we wanna say 2 or 3 of us are hustling to get information and put it together? And then, to be honest, after the 19th, like, we kinda have to put together a presentation, like, it's not, you gotta make it,
I don't know that you necessarily need a full presentation.
no, but it's gotta be on paper and, accurate and make sure it's all down. So,
So do we plan, so you can have discussions with the vendors this coming week. Plan to meet on the 19th. It could be a half-hour check-in if it's just, hey, here's the
Yeah.
numbers we got.
yep,
Does this
Does
make
it have
sense
to
to
be an hour and a
everybody?
half? Yep,
And then 2 or 3 people work on the presentation after
mhm,
that meeting.
mhm.
in
what
preparation
is
for the
required for a presentation? Like, what is required for, see, yeah, like,
You don't have to do a formal presentation to the board.
like, we don't need to make it harder than
It could
we,
literally be, we
like-
think that you are gonna wanna spend money on this in the next year, so here's this idea to change that line to be a different thing, and here's the amount of money we think you should have in it, and then,
so like bullet items on a Word doc,
they
Mhm.
get to discuss and decide
yeah.
if they think it's a good idea, if they think it needs to be a different number.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
don't really need to present our case, it's more of just outlining what we wanna do.
I think just showing that we've done our due diligence to say, this is a ballpark.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
You're
we
not
want it
just
to
a
be
big
accepted,
representative.
right?
Yeah,
So
Josh
what's
said
enough,
you
but not
wanna
too
give them like
much.
a
We talked to
ballpark
several,
on
we talked to
depending
these
on
three
the
companies,
Okay.
there's kind of
Yep.
the
Yep.
Especially if you're
Yeah.
doing this.
bronze,
the ARPA
silver,
funds,
and
you know,
gold
Right,
packages, like,
right.
here's the range.
This,
And then they can
versus
decide,
that
like, if you-
17,000
Right.
that's sitting there, the newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna give ballparks, and that sounds like more so on like the website startup.
Are you ready to present
Yes.
this? Cause I don't think I can, you do it beautifully.
I'm happy to.
I don't
It's
think
on
I
the
can speak.
24th.
Yeah.
Okay,
Six.
we can go
Yeah, I'll be
together,
Okay.
or you can.
You have to dress up though.
Wear a tie.
A
So,
whole suit.
A whole suit for it.
Right, 3 piece.
so do you guys wanna reconvene on the 19th
Sure.
at 6:30? Does the 6:30 work?
So,
And it doesn't, I mean, it can just be as many people as that can come. If you have other commitments, then.
yes, I guess what I was going to say is that we, as a board now, could just say that whoever, whatever, 2 or 3 people, like, we're okay with them presenting, based on the numbers that we get, like,
On Thursday or now.
you could do it now,
I can't make it next
or we
Thursday.
could come on Thursday. What, does it feel better to you to have numbers to have that conversation?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, and whoever can come, will come.
I think if we
It
were
is
only,
planning board night,
Yes,
So we'll have
you'll
to
have to
meet
meet
down
down
there.
there,
That's
you
fine.
cannot live stream.
Okay, that's fine.
I think-
although,
Depending on their agenda or depending how quickly you move.
yes, and honestly, if we're gonna live stream, if they choose not to, then they don't need this room.
Right, but they have a bigger audience, so if they have hearings
I guess
and
it depends on,
presentations, then they
on
can't
what
fit
their,
in that room.
it depends on what their hearing is.
Anything we talk about next week is gonna show up in the Tuesday select board, so.
Yes.
Mhm.
I feel fine about not having the live stream, like, it's just making sure we're kinda got our ducks in a row, to just say, hey, look,
I think we've done good work in terms of what would be what is the recommendations around the website and the audiovisual. I think what we haven't discussed enough, and I would like to make sure we discuss Thursday, is what would be options for pushing information out to people.
yeah,
And that's what we haven't decided.
no,
And I think that's what they were interested in,
Yeah,
including.
but it's not enough time.
Pardon?
It's not enough time.
No, but we need to, but
Like,
we're not having to make recommendations, we're making options. We're
Yeah.
offering options.
So, next week, we're gonna meet just to talk about the money part of it,
What time?
6:30?
6:30,
I think what you're proposing is we need to put those options forward.
but we don't have any.
But that's what I hope we can talk
Currently.
about next Thursday, because that's what they're gonna be wanting to hear.
Okay. So continue.
And the answer
talk.
could be, we're tying it to the rollout of X, if that's the answer. It's,
Which might be, I mean, there just might have to be a grace period.
Well, the newsletter's gonna continue with 12 issues, starting with the one that went out this week. It's already underway for the one that's going out February 3, and there'll be one in mid-February, so information's gonna continue to go out, and the volunteers will continue to recruit and collect information.
It already went out?
One went in the mail, it was delivered to the post office on Tuesday, so some people
Yeah.
already have it.
I got it.
Yeah, I haven't-
Yeah.
and-
Depends
and
on
it's
your
on the
route.
web.
It
Yeah.
depends on your route too.
I know, there's
Yes.
neither sleet nor snow, but
Mhm.
it's a funding budget.
Yeah.
but I guess did the select board, when they made that request, talk about the types of content they want to be able to push? It was just.
There was, it
No.
was not a specific
No.
ask.
Okay,
It's kinda casual, it's kinda casual.
Yeah,
okay.
So actually, so maybe if y'all present on the 24th, you can say like, do you have anything more specifically you'd like us as a communication committee to look into? So that we have kind of more of a directed,
mhm.
this is what we should be working on. I don't know, or not, or we just say nothing. Slowly back away from the table.
How full do you want your lap to be with projects?
Okay, is everybody good for tonight? We're full?
Yes.
All right, I motion to adjourn the meeting. At 8:20.
I second.
All right.
Is that off, Karen?
Is that off?